You're listening to the Foreign and International Medical Graduate Show, a podcast to inspire physicians in the process of immigration to the United States and access to graduate medical education. We create meaningful and helpful content that motivates medical students and doctors throughout the world, with the goal of creating a community that supports itself and gives feedback to each other, that stays updated with the most recent tips and advice on how to make it in America and become a successful resident or fellow in the specialty of your dreams. Dr. Alonso Osorio is board certified and residency trained in both emergency and family medicine and will be bringing you 20 years of his personal experiences, struggles, and motivation. We'll be chatting with people like you to talk about the lessons they've learned along their personal path, how to make an impact, and how we can all benefit from it. Also, we'll analyse the current resources available and how to benefit from them. Thanks for joining us. Please enjoy the show.
Hello, guys, and here I am, your host, Dr. Alonso Osorio, and I am excited to record episode number 40. It's incredible. December 30th of 2019 was the first time that after 3 years of planning this project is when I really had the guts and decided that by the end of the year, I had to have something accomplished. And I said, 2020 is going to be a fantastic year. It's going to be a year of new things for my family, new personal goals. And who knew? 2020 came out to be the craziest year for humankind, I would say, for the last 100 years, because we haven't lived anything like this pandemic for quite a while, for a century or so. So, having said that, 2020 came with so many personal and professional changes. 2019 was a year in which I was practicing as an associate medical director, as a medical director in my previous job. You know, I have only 7 days left of what's my current job, and I will be having a whole month's gap of no job, and I will be starting my new job on the 16th of September. So I'm going to be having plenty of time off to be working in our project, wrapping up new things, wrapping up my new website. And to go into details about that, I know that I've been giving you some heads up on what's going to be this new project. So it's going to be called OsorioMD.com. So if you go right now into OsorioMD.com, you will see a welcoming landing page that will say something cool is about to come. Right now, I'm wrapping up this project with my Colombian website designer and advertisement advisor. Today, actually, I have my photo shoot for the website to make it more up to date, more professional, a little bit fresh. So you guys get to know me a little bit better on what I do on a regular basis and just bring you this whole new interface. And there you will have links specifically taking you to my YouTube channel that is going to have some more content, some more audiovisual material, more of me with hopefully weekly video clips about my life, what I'm doing, and branching out to you to be a little bit more of an influence, not only to foreign and international medical graduates, but in general to the community out there, physicians and non-physicians, to give them bits and pieces of information on what's the world like, the medical world specifically, and what goes through the minds of doctors on a regular basis, and what's our life like. So within the last month, I've been working at this, putting a lot of thought into this website of OsorioMD. As I said, the links into my YouTube channel will be there. Also, the links for my podcast will be there on the most common platforms like Pandora, YouTube, TuneIn, the Apple platform for the podcast. That is the most common one available worldwide. I know that for the listeners in Asia, and other countries out there, they have difficulties accessing some platforms, but we're in Ghana, Ghana, And that's going to be a new platform in which our podcast will be available. I try to be available in many free platforms. So just follow me. Just type for the Foreign and International Medical Graduate Podcast. Go to the current website, www.fmg-imgcast.com. Or soon in the future, you will find me at osoriomd.com. Having said that, I want to make you all aware that despite the fact that this year has been a crazy year, this is something that I want to brag about. Why? Because under the personal circumstances of having lost my job, politically, there were a lot of circumstances that I think led to the termination of my job. Reasons that are not very clear to me, but those are will never be revealed to me. Anyway, they blame it on pandemic, COVID-related low volumes. But here I am. I'm a free soul. I'm a free agent. And I'm here pretty much for you guys. I think one thing that we need to get used to is about competitiveness, envy, rivalry, becoming a threat professionally to coworkers and peers alike. Very common in the United States. But the mighty, nasty dollar, it's what it's all about. So the U.S. is not only about making it here, but staying competitive, staying current, staying up to date, staying on top of your game. And if you're successful, there is always people that would like to take you down. And if you're standing out, or if you're standing up, or if you're making yourself successful, call it business adventures like I have with the scribing company, business ventures like the podcast that at this point in time is just a financial personal investment in life, in you guys with non-for-profit efforts. Actually, it is a formal company. It's called the Foreign and International Medical Graduate Podcast Limited Liability Corporation that is owned by Dr. Alonso Osorio, Osorio MD. And also, I have my other business called Go Scribes that you can find this for those interested on medical scribe services at www.go.scribes, SCRB as in Bob, ES.com. And then you can find me, and we offer medical scribe services for anyone interested across the United States for us to go and visit and do a free consultation. So taking advantage of this segment, I'm going to also want to thank the Next Day Podcast at nextdaypodcast.com that with their new interactive platform make it so easy to us podcaster to log on, put in our material there, our show descriptions, the show notes, and Greg and James Bradshaw, the lead auditor for this site. It's just an amazing service. I'm really satisfied with them. They're really affordable when you kind of look out there on what's available. And in general, just feel free to visit them. I always like to make people aware that when you're looking for a podcasting, editing, and mixing service, I think the Next Day Podcast has everything available out there. And obviously, James and Greg have been really, really kind to me, dealing with my personal needs. I'm currently trying to produce about 4 podcasts a month, and they have a very affordable plan that I've been using. So, getting back to what I said, that 2020 has been a really difficult year, losing my job, etc. Also, life circumstances are rather funny, and I want to brag about something that really happened to me. So you guys know that I live in the Tri-County area of Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco County in Tampa, Florida. And there is a magazine called Tampa Magazine, and I was not aware of this having happened to me. I was actually having a normal, regular day, and 2 weeks ago I got a text message before I went on vacation to North Carolina, and a colleague of mine, Dr. Annie Zachariah, had made a comment on my headline on Facebook, making me aware that I had been chosen as one of the Tampa top docs, and I didn't know how it happened. So immediately I went to the medical library in my hospital, And I started looking for what it was because he couldn't tell me right away what magazine was. And I didn't pay for this. I didn't do anything specific for it. I was just waiting to see how I got a hold of this information. And literally that afternoon, I got a free edition of this magazine. That is the edition for the August-September 2020. So Tampa Magazine, it says Top Docs, Stories of Healings on the Front Lines. So it has a very nice chapter of what it's been like, the pandemic, and how the people are playing roles, not only physicians, emergency physicians, but providers alike in our local community of these 3 counties that I had just mentioned. And when I found out how it works, what they do is that they mail over 9,000 plus surveys to physicians in Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco counties that are the 3 largest counties on this part of the United States in the area of Tampa, Florida, Tampa Bay area. And they also get a list from the physicians from the Florida Department of Health, including medical doctors, osteopathic doctors, what they call DOs, and podiatrists in every single specialty. And they send these surveys to your peers and colleagues. So your own colleagues seems that they nominate you. So on every specialty, they fill a survey. So people that I have been directly or indirectly probably involved with on the phone or in person through my job, they decided to choose me as one of the Tampa top Bay doctors in the category of emergency medicine / urgent care. So I'm really, really happy to be part of this because it just kind of tells people that even if you lose your job, I don't know what were the circumstances why it happened, but here I am, and I have a job, obviously, because I'm not a bad doctor, nothing I have done wrong. And, the community and my colleagues confirm that I am such a nice doctor. And my name was brought up. I'm extremely excited. It's very cute. My name appears as Alonso Osorio Giraldo, and it lists my current contact information for my current job. But you know where you guys can get a hold of me. There is also many refined and distinguished physicians of the local community that I have worked directly, indirectly with, that I also have trained under their teachings, and some people that I'm connected and working through the community as friends and colleagues through my kids' school, etc. And pretty much every single physician in the area that has been successful in their specialty is brought up in this magazine. So, having said that, I want to let you know that I'm extremely happy about it. I feel thrilled. I feel personally fulfilled. My wife has been really supportive about it. I wanted to let you know who you're dealing with, my background, where I'm coming from. And well, since COVID has changed the circumstances for interviewing, and I have heard that many people would like to know what it takes to go through the residency process, I did some research on how much will it cost to interview for residency in the United States. Obviously, the U.S. grads are very familiar with it. Most of the international medical graduates, meaning the U.S. citizens that are attending medical school in the Caribbean or overseas, are pretty acquainted with what it's like. But for some foreign medical grads, the people that are barely getting started on this process and don't really have a clue on how it works or currently the pricing of what it's like, I decided to kind of do my own research and come up with a little summary on how much will it cost us to interview for a residency process for this period of 2020. Obviously, these are data that are a little bit behind, probably 2-3 years behind, but just make the adjustments and kind of go from it. Obviously, the foreign medical grads will have to look into their specific currency and how many rupees or pesos, in pounds will it cost when translated into US dollars, will it cost you to come and interview. Obviously, the cost for interviewing will be very different for foreign graduates coming from Asia, Southeast Asia. Obviously, I'm including India, Russia, Australia, the United Kingdom, Northern Europe, Africa, South America, Canada, and the Caribbean. So all those costs are going to differ if you're living overseas or you already live in the United States. So please plan accordingly. And obviously, this is just a framework, some data, recommendations based on what I have gathered for you guys. What else? So before I begin, I want to thank you all for reaching out to me. I got probably about 25 emails a week from different people, different followers, different listeners. And that's remarkably reassuring. I cannot get back with you all. I try to. I know that many of you would like to talk to me. Please understand that my time is also restricted, not only for work purposes, for the things that I like to do, like doing my podcast, to play tennis, and mostly dedicate time to my family and loved ones that are obviously, like for many of you, the priority of my life. They're the ones that keep me grounded. They're the ones that keep me concentrated. And, well, I thank you all for the fantastic feedback. Also, as we have grown, I can tell you last month was an amazing month. I had a record-breaking amount of downloads with 2,320, which I think mostly came from downloads coming from Dr. Chala's interview, which is episode number 39. That episode itself has generated a large amount of visits, specifically because it's a very relevant topic about what it's like starting from the USMLE all the way into matching into residency. So you can find him at Dr. Chala on YouTube or his Instagram. And as of today, he has 486 downloads. That's impressive. Dr. Mamoon has had 155 on his episode on how to make it into residency in radiology. And Dr. Terrence Julian with his neurosurgeon, how to make it in America and be a neurosurgeon, with his hashtag Black Lives Matter episode, has downloaded 172. And Dr. Solanki, 175. Dr. Daniela Rodriguez has been very successful with all the episodes that she has generated for us. We have more than 1,000 downloads just with her. And the podcast keeps growing. As I said, 2,320, which I really thank you for. So remember, to make this worth it, I need your feedback. Please go to iTunes, any platform that will allow you to leave a podcast. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook. We're going to also revamp the social media platforms and see how we can reach more people. And I rely on you. I rely on you to grow. So share this information. I was contacted by someone in India that they have a specific group of about 60 Indian medical students that are trying to make it into America. And they specifically left me a bunch of cool feedback, and they were super, super, super kind. His name is Rajesh Kumar. Dr. Kumar, I want to really thank you for all this spectacular feedback. I know you want me to look for an orthopedic Indian doctor that made it in America. I tell you, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm thinking of you guys, and I will continue to dig deep to find someone relevant in orthopedic medicine to bring into our show. So, without any further delay, we're going to touch on how much it will cost you to interview for residency and going to the residency path here in the United States. Well, by looking deep into this data, there is no perfect data in how much every individual will spend, and you will have to adjust that to your individual needs and your specific situation. Most of the hard data comes from American graduates at the medical school level, and what we found, it's based on the financial aid office from medical school, based on the website of the American Academy of Medical Colleges. Some topics from AAMC are available for free. Some foreign medical grads and international medical graduates have access due to subscriptions from their local medical school, but most of you will have to pay a small fee to get access to this fantastic amount of data that is available through there. Some data obviously is rather anecdotal. I have contacts on people that have gone through the process recently. And in general, what we find out there is that the average spent or price tag is $3,900. So let's call it $4,000, $3,900. And it ranges somewhere in between $1,000 to $7,500. This is the median, but like anything else in life, obviously there's people that could be spending less, some people that will be spending more. But the price tag, as I said, is about $4,000 and will be based on your specific situation. By saying that is, where do you live? Are you inside of the United States, outside the United States? How close you will be interviewing from where you live, how far you will have to drive. Also will depend very much so in the number of applications, the competitiveness of the program that you're applying to. If you really want to get into a highly competitive specialty, you will probably be interviewing into many places. Like Dr. Mamoun said, for radiology, he interviewed in more than 100 places across the United States. And this is a highly volatile number for that reason. It all depends on the specialty that you have chosen. If you're doing preliminary plus minus transitional years, or you're into a categorical program pathway, etc. Also, in the future, we're going to bring someone to speak about the couples match. But regarding couples match, what we're going to do is just add the pricing for each individual person. So $3,900 for two people, we translate in about $7,800 by doubling the median amount of the investment. Because in general, the price of interviewing as a couple doesn't change much. I mean, despite the fact that you sometimes share hotel rooms and stuff like that, you may save a little bit of money, but in general, it's just really expensive. I have spoken to an orthopedic resident, an orthopedic PGY1, and he said that by interviewing in 18 locations, the total cost that he accrued in traveling plus applications was about $4,000. He recommended that you need to find a way to travel in a smart way. Choose one airline, stick to that airline. Obviously, by doing so, you build up miles that you can translate into tickets. There is some perks on purchasing through a credit card that is affiliated to a certain airline. He recommends that you should drive wherever you can, obviously in a safe vehicle. In the United States, driving through the winter snow could be really harsh and a complicated factor. So for those foreign medical grads that are coming from subtropical, tropical countries that don't have the 4 seasons, please be careful at considering and planning accordingly. Probably I will advise you to get a 4x4 all-wheel drive vehicle that will allow you to navigate on the snow. Plan ahead for the weather, etc., because it could be really, really hard. And it's coming from someone that lived in Iowa and had a front-wheel drive sports vehicle that didn't go well. And more than once I spun around in the highways of Iowa and Nebraska. So be really careful with those deers crossing the highway or the little animals that want to become roadkills, because I step onto the brakes, and definitely the black snow, the black ice is a scary thing. And more than once I ended up on the shoulder without a significant injury, but it could happen. So drive where you can, but be safe, be mindful. Try to stay with some friends and families if possible. Obviously, if you don't have any friends or family in the United States, it's going to be difficult. But if you do, try to get to a hub where they're located and try to interview within a decent distance and think about driving while staying for family or friends. Another feedback that we got is a radiology grad. Due to the competitiveness, Dr. Mamoun said 100. This guy did 40 interviews with an average cost of $5,000 for him. And he obviously said that he interviewed very close to the site of Oregon where he was at. And he said that he could have saved money if he would have had prepared better and play way in advance. Some people wait for the last minute. I don't know. Some of you are pretty well organized. Some people are not. He recommends to do a cluster of interviews by starting and ending at the same airport, driving to nearby locations. And just by meaning clustering, try to kind of book the interviews back to back in nearby towns or nearby cities that you can drive around in a circle or whatever and go back to the airport where you landed to take off from there. It will probably be something really much affordable than doing multi-site or multi-city traveling. And another general surgery applicant, he did about 10 meetings, 10 interviews, spending about $5,000. He specifically used an alumni network. He used this network by building a bond, and he got some advice from them, and he stayed in some of their households. And this allowed him, he says, to get more insight into what is the process, what it was going to be like. And he feels that he really got some significant experience from it. What else? So please consider to consolidate your flights and hotels, same hotel chain. It will pay off. Remember, these hotels will give you discounts. If you do 5 nights, they give you an extra night or so. And, you don't need a 5-star hotel. Sometimes you just need a place overnight to crash. In the United States, it will average you somewhere between $7 to $100. I know that there is websites that, offer you like a hotel site that is probably for $50, $60, but that has to be a same night hotel. And sometimes the locations that are available are not the most desirable. So I'm not going to go into the specific details on how to do online searching on Kayak or Travelocity or whatever you decide to use, because I know you're pretty good at this, but the foreign medical grads really need to consider all these little things that sometimes we're not very acquainted with. Specifically, if they don't have a United States Social Security, if they don't have a United States credit card, you're going to be using your international credit card, spending money in dollars, and then being charged with the, the exchange in the currency that you guys have in your respective countries, plus any other additional fees. Other people might be spending cash, or people might be using family funding. We heard of many guests that they usually have used many relatives, parents that have actually borrowed them money, like it happened to me. As I said earlier, get a credit card. Get a credit card that offers travel benefits. Those are top notch. I have a couple of those. I have built some significant amount of mileage on those. I just took a whole vacation, for example, for about a week using just points. We just went hotel hopping in North Carolina. It was fantastic. And literally, we use credit card points, and we still have plenty of those. What we do is we do life expenses through that. We pay it at the end of the month. The points go revolving, and they just keep growing and growing and growing. Even if you don't use it, you try to use them before they expire. But I don't think this ever expire. Anyway. That's just a specific circumstance on how I did it or how I done it recently. But at the end, is all this money invested worth it? Absolutely. Many people have said that they only gain experience with the networking that they got from this, from the interaction from other colleagues. And obviously, some people require some extra funding. How you decide to cover the cost for this? Well, one thing, obviously, for FMGs, some of us had the need to work as an attending physician or as a GP in our country. We save money for a year or two, and then we decide to take on the process, sit down for the USMLEs, now with the OTE. By the way, we're going to be talking about that soon with a special guest that we have coming up. The English exam, the new exam by the SEFMG. Yeah, so you're going to either do that, you're going to be sponsored by a family or relative, you're going to just go into debt by requesting a loan in your country or a loan here in the United States if you are a United States citizen and you have the means to do so. So, yeah, please notice this might not apply the same way for international medical grads, U.S. native citizens than it is for us foreign medical grads that came to this country without a visa or a social security card. One thing that I came across for international medical grads was to contact the medical school financial aid office to explore their particular scenario. And you can find a way to speak with the financial advisor and maximize your federal student loans. Also, another choice, and we'll talk about this in a second, is to apply for a resident relocation loan, which will be a private loan offered by many financial institutions, banks, etc. And there is obviously requirements to maximize these federal student loans. You have to understand if there is room in the standard cost of attendance for you to borrow against that. Are you up to the maximum allowance that you're giving on an annual basis? You must be obviously a U.S. citizen. You might be enrolled in a medical school program, and you might be eligible for more loans or a new loan within that federal loan, but it all depends on the cap that you have yearly. And the other option is private loans. These private loans, if you have maxed out already your medical school federal loans, you might approach your financial advisor or your medical school. They might have a list of lenders, banking institutions, federal credit unions that offer a lender list that have terms and conditions that might vary, but in average, they stay competitive. But in general, to stay competitive, they offer about the same interest rate, and they usually max out as of 2020, somewhere between $15,000 and $18,000. They might or might not need a cosigner. A cosigner here in the United States is a person that comes with you to the bank and who has United States credit, and he just kind of commits himself with his credit score and signs the loan with you. And if you don't pay it on time, he'll be the responsible one for the loan. Having said that, I want to take advantage in a second and a pause here to thank my friend Frank Soto, who is an emergency physician and currently a cosmetic specialist in Omaha, Nebraska, who I remember, despite the fact that I didn't have credit in the United States, him and his wife committed to be a co-signer for a loan for my first car in the United States. And I will never forget that. It was a difficult decision for him. I know it because I know how worried he was about me not paying this, but they made it. I did it. And I will always be thankful to Frank for having done this for me. So Frank, despite the fact that we haven't spoken in about 15, 20 years, I still love you. I don't know why we drifted apart, but I wanted to reach out to you anyway. So consider that. And I came across a website that was created by a few medical students called SmartMed Travel. Smart, M-S-A-R-T, med for medicine, M-E-D, travel.com, smartmedtravel.com. And I will put a link on the show notes. And, it's pretty useful. It's a simple website, not much into it. And there is some links and even services to save on car rental. Also, some United States medical schools, for the ones that are attending medical school in the United States, have a hosting program that the people just volunteer themselves to be a host for applicants, and they just kind of want to help people back, and they do that. So please remember, people are going through the same situation. Don't forget to help others like you were helped. In my case, I want to thank Hernan Darío Pavón, Dr. Pavón. He's a psychiatrist, pain management specialist based in the Miami-Fort Lauderdale area, who offered me his fantastic apartment in a high-rise in Brickell Key for a very affordable price. He gave me a private room, and for about a year and a half or two, I lived in his place, and he was always with his family really kind. So that really, really, really helped me. Anyway, guys, remember, no matter how much this will cost you, this investment is an investment in you. Well, before I wrap it up, let's talk about other considerations. Even if you plan well, you will definitely have some limits on your financial allowance, and most people do actually get impacted during the interviewing process, budgeting on how they're going to do this, and will obviously have an impact in the funding consideration. So let's say you have $5,000. It might impact on how many interviews, and definitely will change the amount of programs that you will have to apply. So do a lot of thinking. And it will depend very much so in the interviews given that you will start thinking about the needs, your personal goals. Before you book the interviews, you need to balance the needs and your goals, balance the trade-offs of saving on interview costs versus presenting yourself to a program that might have a tremendous potential to present yourself as a good applicant and maybe get a fantastic position in a very desirable program. So consider all that. Not all the interviewing experiences are created equal. They differ by themselves. And, for the people that have been on interviews, Dr. Daniela Rodriguez is going through her 4th cycle. And there is a mental burden, a cumulative effect of traveling and interviewing that could lead to burnout. So think in advance, plan well, and make very well informed decisions by attending only the interviews you need to go to, gain the information you need before you go, assess if you're a good fit for that program before you go, determine if those programs that you're considering are really the programs that you really want to attend in the future, and really create a rank on order list that will support your ability and your capacity to match. Have realistic expectations. Realistic expectations. That's the most important thing. Last few things to consider. Remember, have clarity on the interests, values, and goals. Another one, learn as much as possible about every program before you arrive at every specific geographical location. Be armed with information obtained from researching and networking with colleagues and friends. Plan to be flexible. The interview process is very fluid and dynamic. You must plan mentally, emotionally, and physically to be very adaptable. Consider the time that you will be away from medical school, family, your country, and the time that you will be given by the immigration service on your visa to make those interviews during the allotted time. And remember, there is plenty of resources on YouTube, on the internet. There is some resources from the ARAS, from the American Association of Medical Colleges, or AAMC, that might be free or come for a small cost. And as I said, $3,900 or $3,900, let's say $4,000 is the price tag. This is a highly volatile cost, and it will depend on the market's change of the dollar being traded on your specific currency in your country of origin. But be flexible and have a budget. Plan ahead with your family, wife, significant others, or yourself on how much money are you willing to invest. Because an investment in knowledge, remember, always will be paying the best interest. This is an investment on yourself. Having said that, we are wrapping up episode number 40. Guys, thank you very much for listening. Please, call to action. Give me a feedback. Go to iTunes. It's super easy. And drop me a feedback, a small comment. 5 stars are greatly appreciated. Is the only way I grow, is the only way I move up on the rankings. I get a monthly, weekly, daily report on my statistics, on the amount of downloads, on the time that you have listened. So all this is crucial. And get a hold of me, Alonso J. Osorio at fmg-imgcast.com. Leave feedback, comments, questions. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, etc. And I'll be looking to hear back from you soon. Be ready for the future. It's just about to get more excited. OsorioMD.com. Thank you. God bless you all, and have a great, fantastic interviewing process and an interviewing season. I know COVID is not easy on us, but just look at the positive outcome in life and the positive outlook, and you'll be okay. Thanks for listening.